was this whole debacle about how they were lightening up Ray Fisher's skin tone color to not make him be as black as he is, right?
Pure evil, in my opinion.
Well, James Gunn's running it now. That's the news. And like, I was extremely excited because Peter Safran is family, and now those two guys are going to be running DC. I'm just excited because I had a big part in my boy James, you know?
In the past couple of years, the DC universe has gained a track record of engaging in some rather eyebrow-raising, off-screen actions, and it seems Jason Momoa has allegedly chosen to lift the veil and reveal these antics to the world. So, what exactly did Momoa say?
Pure evil, in my opinion.
In mid-September, as Warner Bros. Unveiled the trailer for the highly anticipated Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, a shadow was cast on the film's release. Embarrassing documents from the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard defamation trial emerged on Reddit, raising fresh concerns for the studio. Depp's supporters had financed the release of notes from Heard's therapist, Dr. Dawn Hughes, shedding light on a contentious Aquaman set where Jason Momoa, in an allegedly intoxicated state, impersonated Depp and advocated for Heard's removal from her role as Mera. According to the notes, Momoa expressed a desire to have Heard fired, dressing like Johnny Depp and sporting his distinctive rings. This revelation has fueled speculation that Momoa's actions were aimed at highlighting Heard's alleged misconduct and expressing his frustration about working with her. However, this is just the beginning of a more extensive issue. Momoa's clash with DC began when Ray Fisher accused Joss Whedon of gross AB, unprofessional, and entirely unacceptable behavior, marking a turbulent period for the superhero franchise. According to Fisher, things on the Justice League set were going swimmingly until the film's original director, Zack Snyder, had to exit the production and was replaced with Whedon. When Whedon began overseeing the production, Fisher claims that he mistreated the cast and crew. The actor's attempts to address the AB were then allegedly ignored by Warner Bros. And DC Comics. Former DC Chief Creative Officer Jeff Johns and former DC Films executive John Berg enabled the director and reportedly threatened Fisher's career. In a tweet, Fisher wrote, "Joss Whedon's on-set treatment of the cast and crew of Justice League was gross, AB, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable." He was enabled in many ways by Jeff Johns and John Berg. Accountability is greater than entertainment. Fisher, who played Android Cyborg in the 2017 blockbuster, made waves by launching an active social media campaign against Whedon, Warner Bros., and DC Comics. The battle stemmed from production of Justice League, during which Fisher alleges that Whedon was repeatedly AB to the film's cast and crew. Complaints about the behavior on set were sent to the higher-ups at Warner Bros. And Marvel, but Fisher claims that no real action to reprimand the director was taken. In fact, the actor was the one disciplined for speaking out. He claimed that the executives had even threatened his career. Fisher was supported by Jason Momoa, who took to Instagram to post a photo with Ray and captioned it, "This ish has to stop and needs to be looked at, and everyone else who experienced what happened under the watch of WB Pictures needs proper investigation." Momoa's decision to bring Whedon's behavior to light inspired Carpenter to do the same. Starring on both Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, and Angel, shows created by Whedon, the actress worked extensively with the filmmaker. In a series of statements shared on her Twitter, Carpenter claims that her experience with Whedon was especially harrowing. Joss Whedon AB'd his power on numerous occasions while working together on the set of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, wrote Carpenter. While he found his misconduct amusing, it only served to intensify my performance anxiety, disempower me, and alienate me from my peers. The disturbing incidents triggered a chronic physical condition from which I still suffer. It is with a beating, heavy heart that I say that I coped in isolation, and at times, destructively. Carpenter went on to claim that when she became pregnant while Angel was still on air, Whedon made things incredibly difficult for her. He proceeded to attack my character, mock my religious beliefs, accuse me of sabotaging the show, and then unceremoniously fired me following the season once I gave birth, her statement read. Unfortunately, all this was happening during one of the most wonderful times in new motherhood. All that promise and joy sucked right out, and Joss was the vampire. The actress shared that she had also been part of Warner Bros.' extensive investigation into Whedon's AB allegations and only decided to come forward when Fisher revealed that he wouldn't be reprising his role in future Justice League projects. Since sharing her statement, Carpenter's story has been co-signed by Buffy co-stars Sarah Michelle Gellar, Amber Benson, Michelle Trachtenberg, and David Boreanaz. Additionally, Gal Gadot also spoke on this controversy. Apparently, Joss Whedon threatened her career during reshoots for Warner Bros. Justice League. "I was shocked by the way that he spoke to me," Gadot told Elle magazine. "You're dizzy because you can't believe this was just said to you. And if he says it to me, then obviously he says it to many other people." Since Fisher's initial tweet, the 33-year-old actor has used social media and interviews to make serious allegations against Warner Bros. His focus has shifted from events on the set in 2017, under the direction of Joss Whedon, to how Warner Bros. And its parent company, Warner Media, handled these allegations. Raised by a single mother and grandmother in Lawnside, New Jersey, a self-governing Black community, Fisher was prompted to speak out by the pandemic and the Black Lives Matter movement. Portraying Cyborg, the first Black superhero in the DC film universe, carried a significant responsibility given the film's oversight by predominantly white executives and filmmakers. Fisher persuaded Warner Bros. To initiate an investigation over 2 years after the initial release of the Justice League film. However, he found the process to be suspicious, with a focus on protecting top executives. When Fisher publicly protested, the studio responded with what he sees as a deliberate smear campaign, while Warner Bros. Maintains they addressed his concerns adequately. The initial Justice League film underwent significant changes when director Zack Snyder left due to personal tragedy, and Joss Whedon took over. Fisher's character, Cyborg, lost substantial backstory and character depth. The Snyder Cut later restored this material, emphasizing Cyborg's relationship with his parents, both highly intelligent Black individuals. When Fisher met Whedon to discuss the changes, he received a revised script that removed important elements of Cyborg's story, particularly his mother's character. Whedon's handling of Fisher's input and suggestions for the character left Fisher feeling dismissed. The issues raised by Fisher extend beyond his character, as he claims Whedon was dismissive of other cast members' input, such as Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa. Fisher's allegations revolve around concerns of representation, particularly the erasure of significant Black characters and their backstory. Aside from this, DC also has a history of alleged mistreatment of its creators, and this has been exemplified by the case of Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, the creators of Superman. Initially, they relinquished rights to the iconic superhero, despite inventing the character's extraordinary abilities.
Here's the pencil sketch of the original Superman, and that was the first cover of the Superman book.
Siegel and Shuster commenced their work with National Allied Publications, NAP, in 1935, collaborating since 1933 on Superman. However, they initially failed to sell the character as a comic strip. In 1938, they approached NAP, which had evolved into Detective Comics DC, offering to sell Superman. They accepted a meager $130 for exclusive rights, and even their names were misspelled on the check. After Superman's success, they sought to renegotiate terms with DC, only to be informed that they had already signed over ownership. Fearing job loss, they signed a 10-year contract with DC, including the right of first refusal for stories for the next 5 years, with or without Superman. Siegel proposed expanding the Superman family, suggesting Superboy stories. DC repeatedly rejected the idea and even published a Superboy story without Siegel's consent. In 1947, with their contract ending, Siegel and Shuster filed a lawsuit against National Comics Publication, DC's successor, to assert their rights to Superman and Superboy, demanding a just share of profits. Despite their efforts in front of the New York Supreme Court, the judge upheld DC's ownership due to the $130 sale and prior employment contracts. But Siegel and Shuster did get a win out of the 1947 lawsuit, which concluded in 1948, and it came in the form of the rights to Superboy. National Comics argued that Superboy fell under work for hire, but the judge disagreed due to the right of first refusal clause in Siegel and Shuster's 10-year contract. They retained rights to Superboy. The case was settled out of court with a $94,000 payment for Superman and Superboy. In 1965, Siegel and Shuster attempted to renew Superman's copyright, leading to a lawsuit in 1969, Siegel and Shuster versus National Periodical Publications. They lost, with the court ruling that they had relinquished all rights in the 1947 settlement. A 1975 open letter and PR campaign pressured Warner Brothers, the new owner of DC, to reach an agreement providing annual payouts, medical benefits, and future credits in Superman stories. In 1996, Siegel's estate contested their grant of copyright, and the Siegel family regained 50% of Superman's rights, sharing them with DC. Warner Brothers offered $3 million, a yearly stipend, royalties, and mentions in Superman productions, and the family agreed in 2001. Legal disputes in the early 21st century focused on ownership of Superboy. The Ninth Circuit ruled in 2014 that the 2001 agreement transferred complete rights to Warner Brothers, finally ending the over 50-year legal battle. Another individual who suffered mistreatment from DC was Bill Finger. He co-created Batman in 1939, forming a billion-dollar empire. Despite giving Batman his moniker The Dark Knight and crafting his tragic backstory, Bob Kane received sole credit for 75 years. While Kane prospered, Finger remained unacknowledged until author Mark Tyler Nobleman's 10-year investigation, leading to his posthumous credit in the movie Batman vs. Superman. Finger's contributions extended to creating Bruce Wayne, Gotham City, the Batmobile, Batcave, Robin, Catwoman, and iconic villains like the Riddler, the Joker, the Penguin, and the Scarecrow. Director Don Argot noted Finger's long overdue recognition in 2017. He said, "At the very least, if Bill had always been recognized as opposed to being denied, there would be a level of dignity. That's what makes it so egregious and such an injustice, because it's so clearly a guy, Kane, pushing everybody else out of the way and making sure he's front and center." Kane and Finger met each other at a party in New York in the 1930s when Kane was working at National Comics, the precursor of DC Comics. Finger was a shoe salesman and the son of a Jewish immigrant, but had an incredible imagination and a talent for storytelling, so began writing for National. Kane was asked by his editors to come up with a rival to Superman, which had just launched and was earning its creators $800 a week, around $13,000 now. Apparently, his original design for the Batman was a character in a red suit, a black mask similar to that worn by Robin, and a pair of stiff wings. Kane was smart enough to know this wasn't good enough, so called Finger to help him. Finger made the suit darker, got rid of the mask, and covered most of Batman's face so that he looked like a bat. Out went the stiff wings, and in came a cape. Batman debuted in 1939, and the credits said that the character was created by Bob Kane, a stipulation he had written into his contract. At the time, it was not uncommon for people in the comics industry to employ ghostwriters like Finger who were uncredited. But given what Kane would later admit, and what Batman would become, this was far from a normal situation. The issue did not become toxic until the world's first Comic-Con at a hotel in New York in 1965, where Finger made his first and only public appearance. He was introduced by Jerry Bales, a comic book historian who was known as the father of comic book fandom, as a Batman writer from the very first, who had created a large number of characters. Bales had figured out that Kane could not have done all the work on Batman himself, so wrote to DC, who incredibly told him that Finger had been involved from the start. He put his discovery in a 2-page article, which said that Finger was the silent legend behind Batman and was circulated widely among Batman fans. It also found its way to Kane, who was furious. Kane sent out numerous letters refuting Finger's contribution to Batman. In one, he wrote, "The truth is that Bill Finger is taking credit for much more than he deserves, and I refute much of his statements. The fact is that I conceived the Batman concept entirely by myself." Kane began appearing at fan events describing himself as the sole creator of Batman, and when the TV series starring Adam West premiered in 1966, it added to his celebrity. Bob made his career by having other people do the work and putting his name on it. Finger gave very few interviews, though. In one from 1972, he was frank about what happened. He said, "I was a ghost. I really was. Bob Kane was using me as a kind of tool to bolster his own paycheck." Finger died alone on January 18, 1974. He was living in Manhattan in a small apartment, and a friend who went to check on him found his body on the couch with the TV left on. The medical examiner wrote at the time that he died of natural causes. And with no apparent family, he was thought to have been buried in an unmarked grave. Kane's deception remained an open secret among Batman fans until 1989, with the release of Tim Burton's Batman film, which turned the character into a household name and a money-making juggernaut. Kane appeared at the premiere wearing a black velour cape and loved getting all the attention. Meanwhile, Finger's family began to make concerted attempts to finally get him the credit he deserved. His second wife, Edith Simmons, and her relatives spoke to DC, but they politely declined to do anything. Apparently, any request for DC to give Finger credit had to come from one of his heirs, and for a long time he thought that there was nobody who could do so. Through extensive research, it was discovered that Finger had had a son called Fred from his first marriage to his wife Portia. Unfortunately, Fred died in 1992 of AIDS-related symptoms, but he had a daughter, Athena, who was encouraged to speak to DC. Investigators compiled a wealth of evidence about Finger's involvement, including a passage from Kane's own memoir, which was damning. It read, "I must admit that Bill never received the fame and recognition he deserved. He was an unsung hero. I often tell my wife, if I could go back 15 years before he died, I would like to say, I'll put your name on it now. You deserve it." In the memoir, Kane included some drawings he supposedly made of Batman when he was a child, which he claimed were the inspiration for the character later on. Kane died in 1998, and it was not until a decade later that, after conducting his extensive research, that Athena was found and persuaded to talk with DC. After some discussion and an attempt to get Athena to sign away her rights, the two sides finally came to an agreement, though the terms are not discussed. In 2014, Finger's name appeared in the 75th anniversary reissue of the first DC Comics edition, with Batman in it. The following year, Finger's name appeared in the credits of Batman vs. Superman, and in the film, an emotional nobleman goes to the cinema and watches with pride. It also emerged that Fred Finger had actually collected his father's remains after he died and scattered them on a beach in Oregon, in the shape of a bat. In a statement, Diane Nelson, president of DC Entertainment, said at the time, DC Entertainment and the family of Bill Finger are pleased to announce that they have reached an agreement that recognizes Mr. Finger's significant contributions to the Batman family of characters. Bill Finger was instrumental in developing many of the key creative elements that enrich the Batman universe, and we look forward to building on our acknowledgement of his significant role in DC Comics history. Had Finger been credited from the start, the amount of money his family could have received from DC, which is owned by Warner Bros., is staggering. Burton's Batman film alone took in $411 million, and The Dark Knight in 2008 raked in $533 million. Then there are the toys, video games, cartoons, comics, and other spin-offs worth billions more. And that is not including the other characters that Finger created. In any case, the DC universe has also faced significant challenges, including controversies involving actor Ezra Miller. Since 2020, Ezra Miller, who plays the Flash, has been caught in a series of troubling incidents. In April 2020, a video emerged online depicting Miller seemingly choking a woman at a Reykjavik bar in Iceland. Variety confirmed it as a serious altercation, leading to Miller's removal from the premises. 2 years later, the woman in the video clarified that her banter about fighting was a joke, but her friend's comment provoked Miller, causing him to react aggressively. In January 2022, Miller posted a now-deleted Instagram video in which they appeared to threaten a Ku Klux Klan chapter in North Carolina. They suggested self-harm in the video and urged the group to reconsider their actions. Alongside the video, Miller emphasized its seriousness. In March 2022, Miller was arrested for disorderly conduct and harassment in a Hawaii karaoke bar. They became agitated by the karaoke singers and used offensive language. Miller grabbed the microphone from a woman and lunged at a man playing darts. The bar owner requested Miller to calm down. In April, Miller pleaded no contest to the disorderly conduct charge and was fined $500, with other charges dismissed. In April 2022, Miller was arrested again, this time for second-degree assault in Hawaii. During a traffic stop, Miller threw a chair that struck a woman on the forehead, resulting in an injury. In June 2022, Miller faced accusations of grooming a minor. Court documents revealed claims by the parents of a child that Miller had manipulated and controlled them since meeting at Standing Rock Reservation. Miller was accused of drugging the child and displaying manipulative behavior. Shortly after, another parent from Massachusetts obtained a harassment prevention order against Miller for acting inappropriately towards their minor child. In August 2022, Miller was accused of burglarizing a Vermont home, allegedly stealing alcohol. Surveillance footage and statements led to felony burglary charges. In the same month, Miller faced allegations from Vermont State Police that they were housing a mother and her children without her approval, leading to an emergency care order. On August 15th, Miller publicly acknowledged their complex mental health issues and began treatment. They apologized for their past behavior and committed to improving. In October 2022, Miller pleaded not guilty to burglary and petty larceny charges in Vermont. In January 2023, Miller pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor, accepting 1 year of probation instead of facing a jury trial. The Flash director Andy Muschietti and producer Barbara Muschietti addressed Miller's controversies in April 2023, expressing hope for Miller's recovery and commitment to mental health treatment. In May 2023, Muschietti affirmed that they had no plans to recast Miller in future The Flash films, citing their exceptional portrayal of the character. Another problematic actor that allegedly gave DC a bad name is none other than Amber Heard. If somehow you missed the drama around the Depp vs. Heard trial, you might be surprised by the lack of Mara in the upcoming Aquaman sequel. After playing a prominent leading role in the first film, the Atlanteans' time on the high seas has been pared down due to the controversy surrounding actress Amber Heard. After Heard accused ex-husband Johnny Depp of domestic violence, Depp countered with the same accusation, leading to damaging revelations in a highly publicized trial. Not even a trip to Atlantis could clean off those stains. Heard has stated that her role in the sequel was significantly reduced as a result. In any case, the DC universe has also faced allegations of sexism on numerous occasions. One particular instance led to a whole new term in popular culture, namely, women in refrigerators or fridging. In an attempt to humanize Green Lantern Kyle Rayner, DC decided to off his girlfriend, Alexandra DeWitt. Not only was she unceremoniously without warning, her body was then crammed into a fridge. It sparked a larger conversation about the treatment of female characters within storytelling. To this day, the idiom is shorthand for stories that turn the tragic misfortunes of female characters into mere plot devices for male protagonists. Additionally, there has also been instances in DC where method acting has gone too far. When Jared Leto was cast as the Joker, he reportedly got a bit too far into character. He claimed to have given castmates used contraceptives, although later said he was just joking. He also gifted Margot Robbie a rat. Contrary to rumors, it was very much alive, and according to Robbie, became a beloved pet. Still, the stories around Leto's behavior were not exactly well received. In any case, the revelations surrounding DC's off-screen actions have been nothing short of jaw-dropping. It's as if our beloved superheroes are enduring their own real-life dramas. With these shocking allegations coming to light, we can only hope that the studio will, at long last, lend a compassionate ear and take concrete steps to address these concerns. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.